Trying to get warmed up here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, today we are going to learn how to apply all these principles, or all this AI we've been learning about the last few days. We're going to learn how to automate it together. Because if I can do it once and have that passive Mark Savant working in perpetuity, that's what I'm all about. I'm going to get into the weeds on some stuff. You can go ahead and scan this. If you want the slides, guess what? Special offer. I'm going to give you another chance to scan this and get the slides too in the end. So let's get into it. Let's get into it, because my goal today is to save you time. I don't want to waste it. So let's keep moving. You and I both know, all of us know, that we are spending so much time on podcasting. Our blood vessels are bursting out of our heads. There's so much to do. Hardware, software, RSS feeds, notes, pre-recording, post-recording. People don't get it. People just don't get it. There's a lot to do. But if we can start automating this stuff together, our lives will change. We can spend more time with our dog, with our kids, even your wife. Your wife will be happy because you can spend time with her. She won't ask you why you're spending all your days editing and doing work in your little studio. No, she's not going to ask that. She's going to say, "Oh, wow, Mark, this is so great. We get to spend the night together watching Survivor." I'm telling you, I'm going to save your life right now. I'm going to save your life in your marriage. And one of the main topics we're going to be talking about today is Zapier, game changer. And what Zapier does is it connects all these softwares that we've been learning about and talking about. Basically, your entire tech stack can be automated together. And I'm going to kind of walk you through some of my favorite automations. And we're going to get a little bit practical. I'm not going to give you pie in the sky stuff. I'm going to give you like stuff that I'm actually using Zapier for today to automate my agency, because automation is going to empower you. If you have any assistants or if you have a team, it's going to empower them. It's going to empower all of your AI, and it's going to empower your entire tech stack. I started podcasting about 5 years ago. Last year was my first fully self-employed year. I own a 6-figure podcast agency. We work with business owners to launch and automate their podcast. And we turned it into a marketing tool. Because, at the end of the day, why are we podcasts? Because we want to have influence. We maybe want to generate some income. And that's what I do. I help people do that. So I wanted to kind of break down this slide. This might not be relevant to everyone. If you don't own an agency, this might not be especially relevant to you. But I did want to kind of break down, because at the end of the day, we're moving into a phase of humanity where generating income on your own is going to be very important. AI, we've learned a lot about AI, deep fakes, automations. Heck, you can't. Have you been to McDonald's recently? You don't even see a human being at McDonald's. They've got AI drive-throughs. Walmart's going to be automating 63% of their stores within the next 2 to 3 years. So generating and building a business on your own, I think, is really important. And, if you're in podcasting, you've probably at least at some point considered, hey, I have skills here. Maybe I can sell these skills. Well, as you build up your agency, you're going to need to think about all these different parts. You've got your social media posting and lead gen. You've got all of your editing, which I think when a lot of times people think of podcasting, all they think about is the editing. But no, you've got to generate leads. You get a post on social media. You have blog, you have YouTube. If you're not using email marketing and cold email, warm email, prospects, segmenting, that is a very, very important part of structuring your digital business, your digital agency. Obviously, you need sales. You need the customer service, because what happens when we need revisions done to our edits and whatnot? You need billing. You need your calendar management. You maybe have assistants. So these are all if you've ever considered whether you wanted to generate and build an agency, these are all important parts, and AI and automation are absolutely going to funnel these, or are going to fuel these. And I know your head's going to spin a bit. We're going to get practical, but I'm just trying to kind of give a broad overview here. More stuff here. And again, this is not meant to overwhelm you, but just to get you kind of thinking. Again, we're going to give you a chance to shoot these slides, because these are all the steps from I formulated an idea for an episode all the way down to I'm hacking my funnel. And your tech stack plays a part in all of this. None of this is done without your tech stack, without your softwares. Okay. At any rate, today we're going to really focus in on Zapier and ChatGPT. So one of the concepts I think is really important when it comes to automating with ChatGPT is the power of forms. Because at the end of the day, what is ChatGPT? It's a place where you can input your prompts, you can input your information. ChatGPT processes that and gives you back what it thinks is the best response. With Zapier, what you can do is you can have prospects, clients, guests heck, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever, you can have anybody fill out. By the way, I've been married almost 10 years, 10 years next month. Don't tell your wife to send you an email when she wants something. It doesn't go over well. So just a little bit quick of marriage advice on top of the automation podcast and AI advice, right? Don't ask her to email you. Regardless, what you can do here is you can have anyone from a guest to a client to a team member, anyone to fill out a form. You can even, how many of y'all are using a calendar? Or using a calendar like Calendly or something along those lines? Well, when somebody books on your calendar, they're inputting a bunch of different criteria based on the information that you ask for. Maybe you're asking for, and we're going to get into this, maybe you're asking for what business are you in? Share your bio. Where do you live? What's interesting to you? All of that information could be used as prompts to fuel the prompt that you want to give ChatGPT. Okay. And I'm going to give you some specific examples here just so you can kind of get those wheels turning. You can get those juices flowing. And speaking of juice, it's after 4 o'clock, so you still have time to get in that coffee before 5 o'clock. You still, listen, if you're drinking coffee right now, I'll give you 2 thumbs up because it's not 5 o'clock yet. All right. You can tell I'm well caffeinated here. So again, it's an example of some forms. You've got Google Forms and Calendly. These are 2 of my favorite forms because you can ask any amount of questions and then you can let ChatGPT and Zapier do the heavy lifting. And one of the things that I like to do is take the information from these forms, add it into my CRM, add it into my customer relationship management tool, because whether you know it, again, I don't know where everyone's probably at a different range here on your journey. You're probably in a different range from other people, but part of the major value of podcasting is the connections that you make. Every single person that you meet online from this day forward, you should have them indexed in a CRM. You should have them indexed in a Google Sheet or spreadsheet somewhere. Name, email, phone number, any other relevant information, what line of business they're in, where do they live. I'm telling you right now, if you are not doing this, if you are not saving contact information into a spreadsheet, I would tell you to stop everything, but that is number one. That is the most important. That is probably the most important thing that you should be doing if you're not. Every single person you meet is gold, So, I'm not going to go too far into that, except just remember this. If you don't have a process for saving names and emails of people that you meet, you should definitely start doing that now. And again, we're going to give you some examples on how you can do that, right? I'm also going to talk a little bit about how you can use ChatGPT to automate emails, which is pretty cool. We're going to talk about that here. So let's talk about something really, really practical. This is a script automation. And again, just to kind of back up here, I'm giving a lot really quickly here, but ChatGPT is a consultant. ChatGPT is an expert. It's read every book. It's watched every movie. You can program it. People have been talking about how to program your own GPTs. It's incredibly powerful. Leverage that. Leverage the expertise of ChatGPT. And so what we're going to talk about today is a script automation that I've used to automate video consulting. All right. So basically what this process is I have an offering that I give local business owners. Well, I'll go to their business and I'll record video of them talking about their business to share online. This is great for their website. It's great for, social media. You might do the same thing for yourself. You're like, I don't know what to talk about. This is a good way that you can use this. If you have any clients or customers, anybody in your head, you're not sure what to give your wife for Valentine's Day. This is a good example too, right? Regardless. So this is how this automation works. Okay. So I have someone that says, hey, Mark, here's my money. Let's go ahead and schedule a in-office shoot. Okay. The first step in this is I'm going to have them fill out a Google form. That Google form is going to send all of their responses to ChatGPT. It's also going to generate an AI image with DALL-E, which is also ChatGPT. Same thing. It's just the text that makes it happen. It's going to create a document for my records, and then it's going to create a draft email, because I don't know about you, but telling people what to say in their script, whether it's their intro of their podcast, maybe it's the outro of their podcast, maybe it's an episode, that can be a laborious task. I want to cut all that out. Right. So this is what it looks like. This is the forms inside of Zapier. This is how I set up the prompt inside Zapier. So The client here answers all these questions in the Google form: first name, last name, email, website. What does my business do? What is important to me? Mission statement, all this information. What we're doing is we're creating the prompt. We're creating the prompt for ChatGPT. And I give ChatGPT all of these instructions. You're an expert marketer specializing in building business brands with video. When I submit information to you on my business, I want you to review the data, website, internet, and the internet to help me build outlines for videos I should record. Okay. Again, I'm not going to read through this whole thing. You can read it. You can get the, and I'll be able to share the slides at the end. You can also get this replay at the end as well. Okay. Chatty does forms, right? You can get anytime, by the way, anytime you can get a client or customer to input information into forms, a guest to put information into forms, that's where ChatGPT is going to be able to give you a lot of value. And we're going to talk about some more of those ways. So anyway, I tell ChatGPT, okay, this is the context. Whenever someone fills out a form like this, it's going to send their custom answers. The client's going to send their custom answers right over to ChatGPT. ChatGPT has already been primed. It's already knows what to say. And then it's going to, boom, bust all this out, and it puts it right into an email. I could actually have Gmail automatically send this out to the client. I tend to put it in drafts just so I could review it and tweak it, but it's going to give them an example of 5 different video scripts. I've also asked ChatGPT to keep the video script short. We don't want super long videos on the page, but you could also prompt ChatGPT to give you a longer script if you wanted something. But this is what it came up with. This has not been tweaked or changed at all. Hi, I'm Christina, the heart and soul behind Drake Irish Dance. For over 25 years, we've been teaching the timeless art of Irish dance to boys and girls. It's excellent. It's excellent. And what happens is this gets sent. I don't have to do any of this. This is all automated. All the person does is pay me money, fill out the form. All this goes right out to the client. So when I show up on site ready to shoot, it's already done. The client already knows what they're going to say. And by the way, by sending this out to her, she could go in and she can tweak things however she likes. But I don't need to do any coaching, consulting. I don't need to spend any freaking time. I've already trained ChatGPT to do all the time, to do all the tasks for me. And then I get to show up. We get to shoot a beautiful video. Christina was ready. She was raring to go. We recorded an awesome video, and it turned out really great. Right. So clap for Christina. Right. And clap for you, because you're actually going to be executing on these forms and automations. I'm really excited to see what you put together, right? So I'm gonna give you another one here, podcast show notes. And granted, I think there's a lot of really cool show notes tools out there, everything from Capshow to Cast Magic to Swell, which are excellent. I'm gonna give you a different way, a way of kind of automating this in a slightly different way that you might find interesting. So what we're doing here is we have a form. And what I do is, after the podcast episode is completed, I fill out this form with information like the guest's name, their bio, key takeaways, any relevant links that they want to share, what business they're in, how are they using technology. That's going to send it all over and create a document, and it's going to just create all this text, description, key takeaways, links, bio, and it's pretty ridiculous what this is able to do. Pretty ridiculous. Just blows my mind. By the way, another way that you can use this is doing your interview prep. So maybe instead of doing this post-interview, after you've done the interview, you fill out this form. But before the interview, when you have someone fill out their calendar slot in your calendar software, you could do the same thing. You can have it say, how should I open, what's a good intro for this podcast? What are some potential questions to ask this person? What are some ways I can flip ideas on them? What are some things that they believe that I can disagree with? Right. So there's a lot of different things you can do to even just save time in the podcast prep. You can also, by the way, you can also automate this so it will automatically create a blog post on your WordPress site. I believe this works for Wix also, but you can also create blog posts off of this automation, which is pretty freaking ridiculous. Pro tip here: ask ChatGPT, if you are planning on automating this into your WordPress site, ask it to format it in HTML. If you ask it to format in HTML, it's automatically going to insert headers, H1, H2, hyperlinks. So that's a pretty cool thing that ChatGPT can do. It can format text into different types of formats. All right, cool. Let's get into our next automation here, which is a guest promotion automation, which I think is great. How many of y'all out there, and you don't have to raise your hand, you can sit in the back. That's okay. I see you. I've been there. How many of you, after the podcast is over, do not send an email to your guests to thank them, to ask them to promote? How many of you do not do that? I see you. It's okay. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. But we'll tell you what, that particular process is really important. It's really important. Not every guest is going to share, but when guests share to their email list on social media, that matters. That matters. So this is a pretty cool automation that I've recently employed in my agency. It's working great for me and my show. It's working great for my clients. And here it is to you for being here and listening to me chat. So by the way, I'm using Lead Connector. This is Go High Level. If you're using Go High Level as your CRM or your email automation tool, you can find that as Lead Connector in Zapier. It's called Lead Connector. If you're not using Lead Connector, if you're not using Go High Level, that's okay. You might be using MailChimp. You might be using ConvertKit. There's a ton of different email tools out there. And guess what? They basically all integrate with Zapier. So this is how it works. After the podcast is completely finished, my team member who's responsible for that account fills out a form. And in that form, they're going to input the guest's last name, first name, email address. They're going to input a link to the Google folder that has all the promos in it. They're going to include a link to the YouTube video. They're going to include a link to the blog on the website. If you don't have a blog, that's okay. You might share a link to wherever you like to refer people to listen to your podcast. That could be iTunes, it could be Spotify, it could be your Buzzsprout page, your Libsyn page, whatever that is. That's okay. But that's for your blog link. And then lastly, the podcast release date, because we want that podcast episode to go out when that we don't want to start promoting. We don't want to tell them to go promote our podcast until it actually goes live. Yeah. So Go High Level, just a quick, is a CRM tool that includes pipelines for sales funnels, email automations. And I'm actually going to show it to you here in just a minute, but it's a CRM tool that, you have to have some sort of sales tool. You have to have some sort of way of saying, hey, someone's interested in what I offer. What do I do next? Well, you put them into a sales CRM. So that's basically what it's think of HubSpot, Salesforce. Go High Level is a much more approachable tool. So what's the result? What is the result? I am going to show you here. So as soon as that form has been filled out, it's going to set up an automation. And again, I don't want to go super technical here, but this is what happens in this automation. The form has been submitted. This is a guest who was on the After Hours Entrepreneur. It was assigned to me. And make sure to disable the Do Not Disturb, because if they're on a Do Not Disturb because they didn't want my other marketing emails, they're probably going to want this marketing email. So I'm going to disable the Do Not Disturb. I'm going to add a tag to that person, which is also relevant. And again, if you're not using Go High Level, that's okay. You can replicate this on whatever email tool you're using. I want to segment that. So in like every year, for example, I'll send an email to all my previous guests to say, thanks for being on the show. Here's some extra stuff. Maybe we should do something again. So anyway, by tagging people, that makes it easier. I sent my event start time to be at the podcast release date, and then it starts sending out emails. The first email is, we're live. Here's a link to share with your people. Then I send out a second email, third email, fourth email. Again, you can set this up any way you see fit. I tend to separate my promotional emails up across several, because one of the things that I found personally is that if you send an email to someone that says, here's a link to the show. Also, here's a link to YouTube. Also, please give me a 5-star review on iTunes. Oh, by the way, here's some clips you can share on social media. What happens is we overwhelm the guest with too much information. And if someone gets overloaded with too much information, they end up just doing nothing. So what I do is I break it down. Here's a link to the episode. Please share with your email list and on social. Thanks. 3 days later, what happens? 3 days later, we're sending out another one. Hey, people are watching us on YouTube. Would you just go ahead and give us a like, a share, and a comment? That helps us reach another 100 people. 3 days later, give us a review. Give us a 5-star review if you could. So again, we just try to kind of spread out the ask, so it's not all boom, all in one place at one time. Because what I find is people end up not doing anything. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want people to do stuff. All right. Let's get back to the present. Let's get back to the slideshow. And again, like I mentioned, if you're not using a CRM like a Go, High Level, or a HubSpot, that's okay. You can still use any email, basically any email scheduling tool, newsletter tool to do this. Beehive, MailChimp, ConvertKit, all that. So I'm going to talk briefly here about ChatGPT keys to success. You want to use descriptive prompts. So when you're creating your automations, you want to try to use descriptive prompts. I'm not going to read through all of them. I know that would be really exciting to hear my sultry, lovely voice read all of these adjectives and adverbs. I'm not going to do that though. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'll have this. I'll share the slides at the end. Don't worry. We'll share the slides. You can have it again. I'm just share all this in the slides because of time. But these are some of my favorite prompts that I like to use for podcasting. And again, you can use these either in your Zaps or outside of Zaps, your Zapier stuff. That's fine. Another cool thing that you may or may not be aware of is ChatGPT, OpenAI can do some cool things. Like we mentioned earlier, it can format text into an HTML format, which is what you want for your website. You can, if you're maybe you want it to generate CSV delimited, that'll help you to add a ton of different information to a spreadsheet, which again, you can do automatically using Zapier. Holy crap, that's just nuts. Tables, images, you can automate all this, but these are a few of the things that I found to be pretty useful when automating with ChatGPT. And then lastly, I just want to take a moment. I just want to take a moment here, and that's a great point, Sabine. Almost every CRM platform is now incorporating AI. Some of it's great, some of it sucks, and I kind of think that AI has become almost like this kind of like buzzword. Oh, if I just put AI into my title, I'm going to be, I'm just going to reach 1 million people, and it's very trendy now. But I found that a lot of the AI integrations are not where we want them to be. But anyway, if you're integrating something like ChatGPT 4, you're going to get a pretty high quality response. All right, cool. So in the works, these are some automations that I'm currently working on, one of which is team applications. Do you ever struggle with bringing new people into your team, or you're not sure who you want to work with? Have them answer some questions, have them answer some basic questions in a Google form, and then have ChatGPT be like your HR executive that screens team members and ranks them based on 1 to 10 based on their answers. I'm still working on this. I haven't perfected it, but one of the things that I'll do sometimes is I'll go onto a job board and say, hey, I'm looking for a graphic editor. I'm looking for a video editor, which I am looking for a graphic editor, by the way. So you can hit me up if you're interested in that. But I might say looking for a graphic editor, and all of a sudden I get 50 responses. It's hard to work through all those. What I'm working on here is, well, how can I use ChatGPT as a screener to rank the applicant based on their response from 1 to 10. If they're a 7 or above, well, then they make it past the initial that first step. So this is something I'm working on. I think it's a pretty cool idea. I'm also interested in, how do I auto respond to YouTube comments? Again, by the way, if you already know how to do this, please let me know. This would be helpful. Automatically send out an email blast and a blog just based on the RSS feed. I haven't found a way to do this well, but this is something that I'm looking to do, because again, you can automate your RSS feed into your Zapier Zaps. And then also find ways to to me, this custom messaging to cold leads, this is the future of sales. It's not some huge office space style call center. It's going to be a computer that's DMing people and sending emails customized based on that person. So for example, if I know someone lives, I'll give you a perfect example of the way that this might look in the future. You're on LinkedIn, and maybe there's a tornado hitting a certain area. There's a tornado there's some bad tornadoes in Oklahoma. So you go to LinkedIn and you have your AI tool send a custom message to everyone that's in the Oklahoma area. Said, hey, I saw there's a bad tornado happening, just thinking about you. Boom. So it's a way of kind of like customizing. Maybe tornadoes and stuff like that is not the best place to take advantage. But you can kind of see like maybe there's a big project or building that's being built. Anyway, custom messaging to cold leads, because we don't, when it comes to cold messaging, basically, when I say cold, I mean someone who hasn't heard of you before. They get a message out of the blue. We don't want to give them too much information. We want to start the conversation. And there's only one me, there's only one you, and there's billions of people out there. How do we get the conversation with the right people? Well, I think that AI and cold messaging is a really good way to get on the phone, get on the messages, get into messages with real people. Listen, the possibilities are endless. I've given you a few ideas here today, but I will tell you this, that if you're not playing with automations, if you're not playing with AI, you're in a dangerous spot, because this is going to change the way that the world works dramatically. Dramatically. The World Economic Forum estimates that 40% of the global workforce is displaced within the next 6 years. You probably need to understand how some of this stuff works, because automation will empower you, any team that you're working with. It will empower your AI to be 10x'd. It will also empower your tech stack to be much more powerful. So that is the deal, baby. That is the deal. You can feel free to scan this to get the slides. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I hope I didn't overwhelm you with too much information. Just take it a slice at a time. Slice at a time.
No, that was phenomenal. That was absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Peter, can you put the link in there for us? For the slides too? Let's see. Everyone's just saying what an incredible job you did, because you seem to cover every last thing. There's not even a question in the Q&A. Look at that. All right, Mark. Thank you.
Again, I would just encourage everyone to start experimenting with Zapier. I mean, you can get started for free. It's like $25 a month just to kind of get your feet wet. But if it just integrates with a lot of free programs. Tiffany says, so are you using Google Forms, not forms from Go High Level? I've tried different things, Tiffany. One of the reasons I like Google Forms is because it just seems to be very approachable with clients. All their stuff is already in a Google Cloud, so that's been easy. But you can definitely just use the forms directly within Go High Level as well. It's a great point.
All right, and Sabina is asking if you use Airtable at all.
I have not used Airtable personally. I have not used it, but that doesn't mean that it can't work.
Right. Quick question. Is there something really specific about Go High Level that makes you choose that for your email?
Well, so I ended up choosing Go High Level because as a business owner, we need to have a way to manage leads coming in and move them through our opportunity pipeline, right? We need to have a way of scheduling tasks out. And I looked at several different programs. I was looking at HubSpot, Salesforce, but Go High Level was a very cost-effective way. You can get a great CRM for $100 a month. You can also white label it. So you can actually turn it into its own marketing business. So for example, and this is one of the reasons I got into this, because if you're just a podcast editor, you are very replaceable. Period. If all you're doing is editing someone's podcast, you become very replaceable. It's very easy for them to say, hey, I found someone cheaper, I'm just going to go there. But with Go High Level, what you can do is you can integrate your marketing systems, your automations into their entire business. It becomes much more difficult for a client to fire you when you're handling marketing automations. And so that's why I've decided this is a really important part of my company.
Right. Thanks, Mark.
Beautiful. Appreciate it.